Our Cougar Chats Women's History Month series rolls on. I'm Sam Brief, and today I'm really happy to be joined by Megan Klavitter, two-time WAC Libero of the Year, former volleyball star, and now a student services assistant here at CSU. What's up, Megan?
Hello, Sam. How are you?
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And I feel like maybe this is a late congratulations, but congratulations to you on staying at Chicago State and now being not a student, but an employee.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
What's that transition been like?
Definitely different. It's different seeing things from an administrative side. There's a lot that you didn't see that went on behind the scenes as a student athlete. So it's been interesting to see, but I'm happy to be a part of that process.
I want to start, if it's okay with you, Megan, with Megan, the volleyball player, because that's how the Chicago State community first got to know you. So tell me the first time you played volleyball.
Oh, gosh. First time I played volleyball was probably watching my sister. My sister played when I was like 7. She's my older sister, so I look up to her. And I used to go to her practices and kind of just started picking up the game from there and wanted to play pretty much ever since.
Why did it stick? What was the hook?
Oh gosh. It's a team sport, but it's very competitive. There's something happening every single play. There's something to celebrate every single rally. And I love being a defender. I like getting the first touch and really setting the scene up for the rest of the play or the rest of the set. So yeah, that kind of just kept me coming back.
I always have a lot of respect for the libero because you're the one diving all over the place. How much does it hurt to dive and dive and dive?
Not as okay. I'm really short, so I mean, let's just put that out there. 5'2", so I don't have a long distance to the ground. So my hitters would definitely tell you that it hurts a lot, but don't have a lot of distance to travel, so it's a little bit smoother for me.
Megan, what took you to Chicago State?
Great question. So I always say this. I really identify with the challenge of being an underdog, and I think when I went to Chicago State, that's kind of what we were known for. I don't think that's what we're known for now, but that's kind of where we were at, just in the conference and in the nation. When it came to women's volleyball specifically, we were definitely a building program, and I had been part of that in high school. And so I really like coming in and being able to make a difference and feeling like I could make history. So that's kind of what drew me to Chicago State.
And you grew up in both Michigan and Arizona, so I know your loyalties are with the Big Ten and but how'd you enjoy life in the Windy City as a student athlete?
Oh, it's awesome. I still think Chicago is one of my favorite cities ever. There's so much to do, so much rich culture, history, and a lot of unique people, personalities. It's really awesome. I think getting a lot of my teammates were international, and I think getting that exposure to different cultures from different countries was an awesome experience.
The international component of Chicago State, it's so unique. I mean, you and I were both born in the Midwest, so to meet people from all these different continents and cultures who had never been to America, it's really fascinating. So it seems like that was a big part of your experience on the volleyball squad.
Mm-hmm.
So Megan, for you, I know you love the sport of volleyball. You were the best libero in the WAC 2 times as voted by the coaches, but you also took a big leadership role, both in SAC at Chicago State and in the WAC SAC, which is a really fun phrase to say, WAC SAC. Tell me about how you first got a foot in the door with those organizations.
Yeah, so WAC SAC, I think I was my sophomore year. Going into my sophomore year, our SWA at the time, Falon Jackson, had asked me if I wanted to apply, that she thought I'd be a really great fit for the position. I kind of started in a little bit late, and I was kind of under another men's track player, Desmond Meyer. He was really awesome in leading me and being like, you'd be really great fit for this, and went. And it was honestly the best experience I think I've ever had. You met a lot of great people, and I'm still friends with those people today. Yeah, that's kind of how I started with WAC SAC. And then when it came to Division I SAC, so I originally wanted to be a part of Division I SAC when I first heard about it. I had actually first heard about Division I SAC, but we already had a rep at the time, and he was in that position, and he was the chair, Noah Knight. I thought he was going to be there past the time that I would be on WAC SAC, so I didn't think that I would ever have that opportunity. I just kind of worked my way up. I became the vice president, and then our president actually ended up leaving, and so then I kind of just got thrown into the president role, and then the D1 SAC position opened up, and I applied for it and got it all within 4 months, I think, 5 months. It was a very quick turnaround where it's like vice president, president, D1 SAC rep.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's quite a rise to power.
Yeah, it's been fun.
For people who might not be familiar with SAC, what it is, can you give a quick explainer?
Yep. So SAC stands for Student Athlete Advisory Committee. Basically, we are a student athlete organization. At every institution, there's one in every conference, and then one at the national level. And basically, we're working to improve the student athlete experience, whether that be with student athlete events, community service, or actually looking at legislation and how we can make a difference in student athletes' lives.
You're no longer a student athlete, but right now really feels like a flashpoint. You mentioned legislation. There is a Supreme Court case that's going to have wide effects on all student athletes. And there's just a lot happening right now in the college athletics world. I'm not going to ask you to make any predictions because I think no one knows what's going to happen. But I guess what's your perspective as a former student athlete on all the mayhem right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think we are in a moment, I guess you could say, where there is opportunity to make change, an opportunity to make a difference. I think there's no better time than now. I think we're kind of seeing that just with all the media and everything that's going on. I think the way that the collegiate model in the 21st century looks is going to change. So I think we need to look at what we're going to make different. Yeah, it's hard to say where we're going to go from here just because of COVID and everything. I think the landscape looks a lot different because people getting an extra year of eligibility and budget cuts and programs being cut. Yeah, but I think there's no better time than now to build on that.
What did you learn about leadership within the college sports arena through your 4 years?
Gosh. I think one of the biggest things is there's a couple things actually. I think the first thing is like relentless pursuit. That translates on the court, specifically in volleyball, playing defense, and off the court as well in life. The other one is just leading by example. I think honestly that's something that's hard to do because you think about it, people are watching now more than ever. And I think you just need to have integrity. You need to be intentional. You need to be authentic to yourself and to who you are and where you came from. I think that's kind of the biggest lessons that I've taken away from leadership.
How is that and those pillars that you got helping you now, and you envision it helping you in your career as a professional?
Yeah, so I think, well, just in the past, I was a walk-on at Chicago State. I don't think a lot of people know that either. And kind of earned my full ride. And I think that's because I had those kind of core values and really learned from those people above me and who came before me. And that kind of helped me establish that foundation for myself moving forward. I think it's going to carry into both my job and like family and everything for just, taking everything day by day and I guess helping with anytime that I face a challenge, just kind of remembering who I am, where I came from, and hopefully the success will follow.
What is following for you? What are your career aspirations?
Oh gosh. So I want to be an athletic director someday. I think that's I think subconsciously it's been a goal of mine since I was in high school. I actually used to work with a athletic director at the school, just helping out because I love doing that. And helping out like with game operations and everything. And so, yeah, I think that's kind of what I want out of life, what I want to what I see myself doing later on down the road. Now I know there's a lot of time from here and then, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm interested to see what I go into and how that leads me there, but that's my ultimate goal.
It might not be a 5-month rise to power like your SAC presidency.
Oh yeah, that's a little bit more experience for that. So.
Well, if you're on a trajectory to be an athletic director, these are topics that no doubt will be on your mind for a long time. But women's sports have grown a lot in the last few years, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done. What do you see as the future of women's sports and getting there, whatever there is in your mind?
That's a really good question. Well, I think with everything that we've seen in the media recently, I think that there's obviously, it's very clear that there is a discrepancy with equality with women's sports. And I really think, and I may be biased because I'm a women's volleyball player, I really do think that women's volleyball is going to have more of an impact coming in the later years. I think there's a market for it. I think it could be as big as men's basketball, football, and even women's basketball. I think women's volleyball is in a unique position specifically because it's entirely made up of women for women's volleyball, whereas like we have men's volleyball, but it's not as large as women's volleyball as of now. Hopefully that'll change because it's definitely like also an emerging sport. But I think we're in a unique position compared to other sports like women's soccer and women's volleyball or women's basketball because they have male counterparts to their sports that are kind of viewed as a much larger following. So yeah, I think hopefully women's sport will get more exposure. That's what I see coming, especially with NIL. I think that could really change the landscape of women's sports and women, their followings and their engagement. So I'm excited to see what it looks like.
And me too. It really is a lot about the engagement, right? And the following. You sort of ended on the note of how much traction women's sports are getting. I mean, you're talking about volleyball, but I'm thinking about we're recording this the day after a Baylor UConn women's basketball game that seemed to take over the internet and really take over the sports world, even while the men's Elite Eight was happening and they were on equal footing. So I think that's a big growth process.
Yeah.
Megan, can you tell me one female role model that you have that's had a big impact on your life?
One.
How about this? As many as you want.
Yeah. So I think the big thing for me is like I guess I don't really idolize like celebrities. I kind of keep it in house. I guess female role models in my life are my mom, my sister, um, my coaches. My high school coach was awesome. My club coach, my GA for Chicago State, my assistant coach for Chicago State. I think those are kind of the women that I look up to in my life because they are so close to me and I know that they want the best for me and they uh, give me real advice and very intentional with, you know, what directions they may point me in or lead me. So those are just a few.
Right? You keep it in-house. And I
Yeah.
think that's a reminder to so many people that you don't have to be a celebrity to be a role model, right? You can be a role model to anyone in your life. Megan, thank you so much for coming on this Cougar Chat.
Thank you, Sam, for having me. I really appreciate it.